Spoiler warning. The 4 seasons of True Detective include separate storylines with self-contained plots, varying characters, and unique historical settings, yet there are also moments when those timeframes intersect. True Detective's first season employed a unique storytelling technique by alternating between past and present to follow Hart and Cohle and Marty Hart's chronology as they worked to solve the main crime. Even though it was a little perplexing at first, Season 1's framework did a great job of engrossing viewers in Hart and Cohle's investigation and the ups and downs in their relationship. Despite the high praise that Season 1 garnered, True Detective Season 2 forged its own route by sticking to a very conventional plot. Regretfully, it was unable to duplicate the popularity of Season 1. With multiple histories unfolding simultaneously and time being a flat circle, Season 3 returned to a complex tale structure. True Detective Season 4 incorporates a number of motifs and plot devices from Season 1, even though it does not follow the same narrative structure as Seasons 1, 2, and 3. Season 3 of True Detective, 1980. In True Detective Season 3, Will and Julie Purcell's 2 children from Arkansas vanish. On November 7, 1980, 2 children from rural northwest Arkansas named Will and Julie Purcell leave their home to play before going missing, marking the start of True Detective Season 3's 1980 chronology. After tracking a trail of straw dolls, Wayne David Hayes of the Arkansas State Police's Major Crimes Division concludes his investigation and discovers Will's body. Following their conversation with Ronnie Boyle, a classmate of Will and Julie, Hayes and his sidekick Roland discover that the 2 missing children had made up their story about going to play at their friend's house. A neighbor who lives near the crime scene reports to the cops that he observed a black man driving a brown automobile with a suspicious-looking white woman. Brett Woodard, a Vietnam veteran who is referred to as the Trash Man, is also made a prime suspect after he is physically assaulted by the villagers for being around their kids. When it is established that the fingerprints on Will's bicycle belong to him, a teenager by the name of Freddie Burns is also added to the suspect list. Brett Woodard descends into Mahershala Ali is up close in Season 3 of True Detective. Brett is pursued home by the white residents who attacked him earlier, and Hayes and Roland are also informed of this at the police headquarters. After leading his assailants to his house and placing tripwires throughout his compound, Woodward gathers weapons close to his windows. Although Hayes succeeds in breaking into his house, Brett forces him to kill him. True Detective Seasons 1 and 3, 1990. Julie's prints are available at an Oklahoma Walgreens. Carmen Ejogo and Mahershala Ali star in True Detective Season 3 on HBO. An unidentified individual is found guilty of Will's murder, but Julie's fingerprints are found following a robbery at a Walgreens store in Oklahoma, almost overturning the conviction. Wayne takes Amelia to the Walgreens store when she becomes entangled in the case and even publishes a book about it. But later on, when Wayne quits as a detective, Amelia keeps working on the case, which causes tension between the two of them. Wayne and Roland reunite in the beginning. Roland says of his friendship with Wayne, "Once we stopped working together, we just stopped." But Roland contacts Wayne and invites him to work with him when the Julie case is revived. They visit the Walgreens store and go over the videotape, signaling the start of a brand new phase in their investigation. Wayne is shocked to see Julie in the video. In 1990, the mother of Marie Fontenot reported her daughter missing. Steve Geraci, a Vermilion deputy, is the first to learn of the allegation. Ted Childress, the sheriff of Vermilion, asserts that she moved out of the house to live with her father. Thus, her case is quickly dropped. Furthermore, he modifies the first report to made in error to guarantee that the case file is closed. True Detective Season 1, 1995. Hart and Cohle begin looking into the murder of Dora Lang. A real investigator, Hart and Cohle. The past timeline of True Detective Season 1 opens with Marty and Russ looking into Dora Lang's bizarre ritualistic murder. On January 3rd, they discover her body tied to a tree in a prayerful pose, which prompts them to begin their inquiry. When they locate her, she wears a crown fashioned out of switchgrass, tree branches, and antlers, and a crooked spiral emblem on her back. After finding out that Dora was a sex worker who lived outside of St. Martinville, Marty and Russ decided to follow in her footsteps on January 4th. Marie Fontenot went missing a few years prior to the incident, so when the cops checked on her in her former neighborhood, a man asked if they had found her body. They discover, as a result, that Marie Fontenot's report, which Ted Childress said was made in error, Cohle and Hart discover the real story of Marie's disappearance. Season 1 of True Detective, Bradley Cooper and Woody Harrelson. The 2 investigators visit Danny Fontenot, a former pitcher teacher for LSU after discovering that he is Marie's uncle. Danny acknowledges that Marie did not go to her father despite being mute due to a stroke and nodding in response to their inquiries. This suggests that Marie's case was closed too soon and that she had indeed vanished. In Dora Lang's notebook, Carcosa makes her debut in True Detective, along with the remark of a king in yellow moving through the forest. Later, Rust finds the case of Rian Olivier, which takes him to Reginald Ledoux and, on a brief visit to the site of the Shuttered Light of the Way School, brings him face to face with Errol Childress. Charlie Range goes further on the details surrounding Carcosa and the Yellow King, stating that Reggie was aware of a location known as Carcosa where the wealthy would worship the Yellow King and offer sacrifices to women and children. Rust goes back underground to win the trust of the Iron Crusaders, the biker club he was previously undercover with, after finding out that Reggie makes drugs for them. Rust pushes Ginger, a gang member who has admitted to knowing Reggie, to set up a meeting between Ginger and Reggie's associate, DeWall Ledoux, after Ginger is kidnapped. In an attempt to track out Reggie, Marty chases Ledoux and murders him upon discovering a boy and a girl inside his shipping container. Time is a flat circle, Reggie remarks before he is shot to death, and this is true when Rust and Cole find themselves back on the same case years later. After breaking through his own security system, Ledoux also perishes. Authorities conclude Dora Lang's investigation after finding the identical LSD composition at the crime site as was earlier discovered in her blood, concluding that Reggie and DeWall were her killers. They have no idea that the case suggests a larger scheme. True Detective, Season 1, 2002. Rust finds that the killer of Dora Lang is still at large. Rust, portrayed by Matthew McConaughey in True Detective, appears serious. Guy Rust learns from Leonard Francis that the person who killed Dora Lang is still alive. After the startling disclosure, Rust assaults him at first and is led from the room. But before he can question him further about Dora Lang, Francis, who had apparently spoken to his lawyer, commits suicide. Rust reopens the Dora Lang case investigation. Matthew McConaughey is a true detective, setting up a meeting with the girl Marty and Rust had rescued from Reggie's container. Rust starts his inquiry, but she screams the moment he brings up the man with the facial scars. Rust investigates the case despite being advised to give it up and finds a trend where a lot of missing person cases were changed to made in error. Rust comes dangerously close to discovering the connection between the disappearances and the Tuttles, but before he can fully comprehend the implications, events take a dark turn. In True Detective, Rust has an affair with Marty's wife, Maggie Hart. Once Maggie, Marty's wife, seduces Rust to end her own marriage, they have an affair. Rust and Marty get into a brawl outside the police station as a result of this. Because Rust had questioned Billy Lee Tuttle, he had already been suspended. He exhausts his brains and resigns after his altercation with Marty. 2010, Season 1 of True Detective. Rust begins looking into the Tuttle's Billy Lee Tuttle in his True Detective Season 1 office. Rust gets into Billy Lee Tuttle's house as part of his latest investigation and discovers a safe that holds a video of Marie Fontenot being attacked and killed. Billy Lee Tuttle succumbs to an overdose shortly after. His actual reason for death is still a mystery, but he either committed suicide or was assassinated by a member of the sect. True Detective Season 1, 2012. The Stephanie L. Cordish crime scene shows Rust, Patton as Rust, and Woody Harrelson as Marty stand in front of an evidence board. Season 1 of True Detective. Detectives Maynard Gilboa and Thomas Papania of the Louisiana State Police Department call Rust and Marty in for interviews when Rust is discovered investigating the killing of a lady named Stephanie L. Cordish, whose murder bears striking similarities to Dora Lang's. Rust and Marty discuss their previous relationship, their research into the Dora Lang case, and their eventual breakup in the interview. Marty and Rust get back together and find Errol Childress. In the True Detective Season 1 conclusion, Matthew McConaughey's character Rust Cohle experiences a vortex in Carcosa. Rust shows Marty Marie Fontenot's film and persuades him to assist him in finding the real killer, even though the two had not spoken since their fight in 2002. After Marty agrees to work with him once more, they eventually connect Errol Childress to the killings and disappearances. Rust and Marty eventually reach an ancient stone ruin that Errol refers to as Carcosa in the concluding arc of True Detective Season 1. Rust shoots Errol dead, even though he comes dangerously close to killing them. The FBI disputes that Errol Childress was tied to Senator Edwin Tuttle, and the Dora Lang case is now closed. True Detective Seasons 2 and 3, 2015. Season 3 of True Detective makes hints about Season 1. Theories around the True Detective Season 3 premiere. Wayne meets journalist Elisa Montgomery in the 2015 timeline of True Detective Season 3 after deciding to participate in the true crime documentary True Criminal. Elisa mentions the twisted spirals and their association with pedophile gangs in passing throughout the interview. Additionally, she displays a newspaper clipping featuring featuring Marty, Hart, and Cohle on her laptop, emphasizing the possible connection between the Purcell case and the plot from Season 1. Elisa also suggests that the Purcell children's parents had to have sold them to the pedophile rings. Wayne discovers Julie's true destiny. Season 3 of True Detective in 2015, Mahershala Ali. In the end, the truth is revealed by Junius Watts, the black man with one eye. He reveals that Julie used to be played with by Isabel Hoyt in the beginning since Julie reminded her of her deceased daughter. But one day, Isabel forgot to take her lithium tablets, and she ended up making Julie accompany her. She killed Will by mistake as he tried to stop her. Isabel raised Julie, but before she vanished, Watts assisted her in getting away. Julie eventually found herself homeless and even became HIV positive. As True Detective Season 3 comes to a close, Wayne follows Julie via her daughter Lucy and eventually shows up at their house to find out what happened to Julie. But his neurological condition overtakes him, and he loses track of his motivation for seeing them. In contrast to Seasons 1 and 3 of True Detective, Season 2 maintains a linear timeline and makes no explicit allusions to or narrative crossovers with previous seasons. Additionally, the historical period in which it takes place is never explained clearly, though there are a few hints that suggest it takes place in 2015. For example, the first scene of Season 2's Episode 1 shows a calendar, emphasizing that the story takes place in October 2015. There appears to be a small inconsistency in the 2015 chronology, though. A glimpse of Ray's phone in Episode 8 indicates that he sent Chad a message on Tuesday, January 20th, but it was not delivered. Since January 20th fell on a Tuesday in 2015 as per official calendars, the events of Episode 8 take place in a chronological order that is technically earlier than that of Episode 1. This story is nonsensical, so it was probably a creative error. Alternatively, it is possible to believe that True Detective Season 2 takes place in a different reality where Tuesday, January 20th, 2016, occurs. 2017, Annie Masu Kautok, star of True Detective Season 4, is murdered, given that Danvers reveals that Annie was discovered dead 6 years prior to the Salem event and that True Detective, Night Country, is set in 2023. It appears likely that Annie was murdered in 2017. This implies that Annie and Raymond Clark may have begun dating in late 2016 or early 2017. In the third episode of True Detective, Night Country, her phone footage shows that in 2017, she discovered something in the ice cave before being discovered and murdered. In 2017, Raymond Clark received the same inverted spiral tattoo on his chest 4 days after she passed away. Season 4 of True Detective, 2023. The Salo researchers disappear in True Detective, Night Country, with Jodie Foster as Chief Liz Danvers. In the first scene of True Detective, Night Country, it is made clear that the date is December 17, 2023, and it describes what transpired at the Salo facility just before the researchers vanished. Raymond begins to quiver and yell, "She is awake," just as the researchers disappear from the Arctic lab. The researchers were reticent, and their absence went unnoticed for several days. The researchers' absence is noticed by a delivery man. Jodie Foster in True Detective Night Country is wearing a police outfit. On December 20th, 3 days after the incident, a delivery man shows up at the Salo research site. He discovers the building empty and even finds a severed tongue on the floor. The APF arrives at the scene to conduct an investigation after he notifies police enforcement. Rose is directed toward the researchers, who are frozen by Travis Cole, who appears to be there. Anders Lund, one of the researchers, is still alive when Danvers and the other APF investigators get to the scene. After thawing the remains at Ennis Ice Rink a few days later, they discover Raymond Clark is gone, which elevates him to the status of chief suspect in the killings. Danvers and Navarro look into the case and how it relates to Annie's passing. Assuring herself that the killings have nothing to do with Annie's passing, Navarro first attempts to look into the killings on her own. Nonetheless, a tongue DNA test and Annie's connection to Raymond Clark implied that the two incidents are related. With this information, the two main detectives in True Detective, Night Country, began their investigation to find out what became of the Salal researchers and their connection to Annie's death.